Dear Boulder City Council, I am coming for you. I personally am going to continue this fight until I can go to my home, Boulder, Colorado. On average, during the years that I was not there to pass out blankets, 43 people died. On the years that I did pass out blankets, an average of 31 people died. Sorry, 32 people died. That means that me passing out those blankets for those 7 years saved an average of 11 lives. Now, I've had over 300 of my loved ones killed by your bad laws, your bad officers. The fact is that your policies are killing people. The fact is, you have been made aware of it. Your city council meetings are all recorded. Thousands upon thousands of people. I'm going to try to get your numbers out to thousands and thousands of people. I'm not talking your phone numbers. I'm talking about the statistics, about the corpses that you were made aware of, that you knew that your policies were killing people, and as well that your policies are illegal. Nobody on the Boulder City Council can pretend like they didn't know these things are happening. At the Nuremberg trials, we hung Nazi war criminals for less than what you've done. Do you understand that? Do you understand? Train. I'm not after your death. I'm also not after your resignation. I don't want you to get off with your crimes against humanity just because you gave up your position. No, absolutely not. You are a criminal. You murdered people intentionally and turned a blind eye. Now, as much as I am pissed off at people like Darren O'Connor and people like David Prowell, the fact is, those two men have spoken in your city council meetings repeatedly and told you about our dead loved ones that you did nothing about the fact that there's 122 beds and 4,000 homeless people, about the fact that your blanket laws are killing people, about the fact that there is nowhere for people to go, about the fact that you hear this not once, not twice, but every single city council meeting. But you don't want to hear them. Their voices don't matter because they're not rich. They tell you about the bad cops. They even tell you in specific which cops are bad. But you don't care. because you hate poverty. The one of you who has pretended to care has shown repeatedly through their voting and through their policies that they're outright fucking lying. Oh, I'm gonna do something to help out the homeless. That's right. Pass more laws to make it more illegal to exist as a homeless person. If you resign, that's fine. I will still push for charges. Boulder City Council, you are now war criminals. We already established that you don't have to be the one to pull the trigger to be responsible for someone's death. We have already established this. You are a governing body. You know what that means? It means that you are subject to the same laws, rules, and regulations that those who were hung at Nuremberg. Yeah. That's what you're looking at. Now, although 300 people that I personally knew and loved were killed, I want you to do the math. 31 or 32 to 43. Let's average it out at the smaller number of 35 people per year died. Let's say just during the years that I was passing out blankets, we'll just go with 32 per year. Now let's pull out the calculator so that you guys don't go, oh, he's just making up numbers off the top of his head. No, we're going to do some actual mathematics here. We're going to do, now mind you, this is because it's on the conservative side. And why is it on the conservative side? Because I passed out blankets every night for 7 years. 32 times 7, and then equals 224. That's 224 people who died in a 7-year period. 224 in Boulder County. And I knew most of them. Now, mind you, that I lost 300 people in a 10-year period. It's over 300 people now. Do you know why? Because we have to add an average of over 40 per year since 2006, since 2015. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. That's 6 years. We'll go 6 years at another conservative number of 40. $40 times 6. That's 240. So we're already at almost 500 bodies. Almost 500 bodies. You know, I'm pretty lucky. I've been away from Boulder long enough, and it's a roaming society. So there's a lot of these people who are fresh to Boulder who never got to meet me, never got to know Starbucks Sean. And they froze to death, but I have the luck enough not to know them, so I don't feel that as deeply emotionally. I still feel it, but I don't feel it like when Janine died, or when Anna died, or when Quake died, when Natalie died. Boulder City Council, you guys are Nazis. Adolf Hitler sent a lot of innocent, unarmed people to their death, and so have you. By making laws that make it illegal for people to defend themselves. For making laws that make it illegal for people to sleep. For making laws that make it illegal for people to exist in public. But it's fine because it's only illegal for them to exist in public after 10:30 at night. You cannot get away with pretending that you didn't know, because why? Because all of your city council meetings are recorded. If Darren O'Connor, you fucking coward! If Darren O'Connor decided, here's something that I hear a lot that I find very offensive. If Darren O'Connor decided that he was going to man up, he could requisition 7 years at least that he's been involved in. 7 years of city council meetings. And he could send those to the United Nations Human Rights Council. And Interpol, that's international police, who can operate within the borders of the United States, by the way, can come and get you and put you in an international prison. Or possibly somewhere worse, like Munich. I want you guys to really impress upon the city council that I am a psychopath when it comes to human rights and the lives of my loved ones. And I will not stop speaking out and fighting for your imprisonment until I'm dead. The Boulder City Council needs to be imprisoned to set the example. Now, during the French Revolution, they set the example differently. How would the French have dealt with the Boulder City Council? Off with their heads! Oh, Sean's making scary psycho faces now. You're traitors to the American people. What you have done for years is hire people who are violent. You specifically hired Waylon Lolatai because he was violent. You specifically hired I want you to think about that. You intentionally put people at the top of these positions who will fill any empty positions with violent people. When you have officers with a history of violence and intimidation, like Waylon Lolatai and Keith Steinman, that's not negligence. It's not. That is outright hostility. I understand it's not just Boulder City Council. I understand that there's an entire county there doing that, hiring officers like Amanda Jonas and Officer Burke. You also got Officer French. You've also got the Sheriff's Department. And Boulder City Council, you hold persuasion over all of them. When you tell them to go hunt hobos, they go hunt hobos. You tell them to go hunt black people, they go hunt black people. But you hate the homeless enough that you don't bother with the black people, which is good. But also, now that we have situations where people like me have saved conversations with people like Samuel Leon Lawrence IV, Michelle Rodriguez, and Darren O'Connor, I have enough proof, as well as that video, the full video with Zaid Atkinson. Hello, Ashley. Hello, darling. Happy to see your face today. My stooges say hi, Uncle. Hello. Thank you. I'll tell them something for me. I hope that made them smile. If it didn't, I hope it didn't scare them. There's this thing called plausible deniability. That's where these people do something wrong, but if you don't look, then you can feign ignorance. Every one of my public pretenders did that. Every one of these police officers did that. Hell, even the FBI did that. And the Secret Service. If you don't look at it, you can pretend it doesn't exist, and then you go, well, I didn't know. I didn't know. No, you certainly did. All of these officers knew exactly what they were doing, just like you do. However, unlike these Nazis who you have doing your dirty work, who can turn off their body cameras at will and commit felonies on your behalf, you know where this is going, don't you? Goddamn right you do. Your city council meetings don't have body cameras. They have actual cameras with actual recordings of the sound, and they're on the whole time. And they can't be turned off. And you don't get to just erase them after 2 years, like the police do. See, that's one of the tactics the police use. Do everything in their power to keep you jumping through hoops, through courts, whole bunch of travel, and a bunch of incarceration. And they just got to keep up that fiasco for 2 years. And once that's done and over with, they automatically win. But you know what? You don't get to automatically win, because your war crimes are on tape, on your very own tapes. And the FBI needs to get a hold of those. Matter of fact, Ashley, could you do me a favor? I would like for you to get a hold of anybody that you can, including writing letters, and I don't want to use the word proposition because a lot of people take that in a sexual context, but it's not. I really need some people to pressure the FBI to take a look at the tapes of the city council meetings. And no, this isn't going to help me out. Well, it might. It probably won't. But it will help out every single citizen of Boulder County. by helping to remove bad officers and, even better, the crooks who are telling them what to do. We learned with the Bush administration that Bush, anytime he did something wrong, one of his cabinet members was going to quit. Well, you ain't the president of the United States, so you don't have the same protections that he does. You don't get to get away with ordering genocide. And as much as many of these powers aren't willing to take on a major world power like the United States, they can make a lot of difference and a lot of change for people worldwide by going after the Boulder City Council in specific. When we're talking about human rights violations, Boulder's the place. Now, don't get me wrong, New York City, yeah, there is more of that stuff going on than there is in Boulder, but per capita, Boulder's got them beat by a lot. Anybody that y'all can get a hold of, and I believe there is a way that you can get the Boulder City Council tapes online. The least we can do, Zaid Atkinson got $125,000 for being treated like a homeless person. Meanwhile, I've been treated like that for about the last 10 years. And intensely and insanely more than that in the last 3. I don't just want to have those guys put in prison. I want to sue the shit out of them to get enough money for property so that their victims have a safe place to go. Or at least safer than out on the streets where they're not allowed to sleep. They're not allowed to exist after 11 p.m. They're not allowed to have a drink in the privacy of their own home if they choose. If you get drunk as a college kid in Boulder, Colorado, say you go to the Sundown Saloon. This is over between, I believe, 13th and 14th Street in Boulder, Colorado. The Sundowner, they call it. If college kids come out of there drunk as a skunk, the cops leave them alone. If a homeless person comes out of there drunk as a skunk, they arrest him immediately for what? Public intoxication. Well, hold on a second. He drank in the bar, same as the college kids. Those college kids walked out the bar, same as he did. Those college kids were drunk, same as he was. Probably more so. Now, why am I focusing on the alcoholics? I just figured I'd make a mention because they're still human beings. Because it is still legal to drink alcohol in the United States. It's just illegal if you're homeless. It is legal to go to the bathroom in the United States. It's illegal if you're homeless. Many of these people who hate me, no matter how much they hate me, I still love them and want them to be safe and happy. Your safety comes first. That's not true. Your children's safety comes first. If you've been my best friend for 20 years and I've never met your kids, and you beat the fuck out of your kids, I am on your kid's side, not yours. No matter how much I love you, I will not tolerate that because it is dishonorable. Boulder City Council. There's two people here in town. Their names are Josh and Amy. Now, Josh and Amy, they had a real hard time. A lot of people have real hard times. And although I'm not going to go spreading all their personal business in this video, I've already spread it in others. And yes, they're aware. No, they're not happy about it. Now, I started trying to explain to Josh the situation there that happened in Wyoming, and he stopped me. He said, no, 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 no. You were put in a fucked up position that you never should have been in. And I talk to them almost every day now, like human beings. And although Amy is still angry with me, or, well, according to Josh, she's more angry with the situation. There's a reason for that. See, she had to do extreme things to try to keep her kids out of the system. And the only thing that she could do was to try to pawn her kids off on somebody who she was hoping, somebody who she had been friends with for many, many, many years, Rihanna Ingersoll. And yes, she knew that Rihanna Ingersoll was an alcoholic, which is a lot of the reason that she's not able to get her kids back. It's because the courts can prove that she knew that Rihanna was an alcoholic. However, given the circumstances and given what we know about the system, yeah, she did make the right decision given the information at hand. She didn't know that Rihanna was going to beat them. She was hoping that Rihanna had a support network. She didn't realize that Rihanna's support network was me. Me and Amy have not discussed this situation, and we're not likely to for a while now. However, because of the actions of the police in my case, now mind you, Amy was continuing to be friends with Rihanna, and actually still is. She still does love Rihanna, and so do I. Rihanna still loves Amy, and so do I. Can I forgive her? Yes, I can. I can forgive them both. But we need to get their goddamn kids back. Now, lucky for them, these things happened in Nebraska and Wyoming instead of Boulder, Colorado, where you are trafficking children as sex slaves, but not just as sex slaves, but also to make a profit off of the poor, off of abducting children from poor people. Not only that, but you are after specific children. You are specifically, you and your police forces, and I do mean police forces because there's the CU police, and then there's the Boulder police, and then there's the Boulder County Sheriff's Department. All of them out there trying to get a bonus for what? They're after specifically white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes under the age of 6. The younger they are, the more you can get. If you get a blonde-haired, blue-eyed infant girl, that's $1.5 million that all goes to, that's right, That's right, you guessed it. Because of the conduct of the hospital there in Rawlins, Wyoming, because of the conduct of the police there in Rawlins, Wyoming, because of the conduct of my public pretender there in Rawlins, Wyoming, we can get Amy's kids back for her. Am I willing to do that? No, I'm actually not, and I'm going to tell you why. Rihanna has been in contact with the girls, and she says that according to the girls, it's a good foster home, which is what I was hoping for. I mean, when I decided to call the cops on that situation, which Amy is mad at me for, and I understand completely why. She's more frustrated at the fact that it got to the point where that had to happen. But she also realizes that I got fucked because Rihanna lied and because her kids were not well behaved. And her kids were not well behaved mostly because Rihanna kept undermining a structure. You have to keep the rules the same. You have to keep them the same for both children, and you have to keep it consistent. Now, where did I learn this from? I actually learned this from Lanny Engelheim about dogs. Now, I had been doing that most of my life already by that point. I just hadn't really thought about it. Now, what would I require in order to help Amy get her kids back? Supervision, which she will have automatically anyway. And I know a lot of you guys, you're hateful and you think that once a parent fucks up, they should never have another chance. You know, a lot of people that I know had to sell drugs on top of their real job in order to make ends meet. They're not breaking the law because they want to, they're breaking the law out of desperation. If you absolutely have to have your rent paid by Wednesday, you can either post up your vehicle on Craigslist and then not be able to go to work, or you can go get a product that sells itself. I'm a product of an alcoholic, domestic violence-filled home. I can't fathom how someone could put their children into hellish, shitty situations. Neither can I, but I also don't have kids. Candace Bondurant, the fucked up shit that she did because she's got kids and she had to be afraid for her kids from the Bollingers and from the police. Now, the police part was the real fucking shocker for her. That is the thing that made her flip the fuck out the most. And after that, she didn't want to have anything to do with the cops. And she felt by distancing herself from me that the cops might leave her alone. A lot of the people that ran away, they didn't just run away. I ran them off for their own goddamn safety. If they'd have told the truth, we could have put these predators away. But they were too afraid. My mother and I have no relationship, and I refuse to let her have one with my boys because I cannot trust her actions and decisions. That's how it is with my mother. I don't have any kids. There's a grand total of one person on this planet that I want to outlive. And it's just out of curiosity. My mother is such a sick, sadistic, twisted, and evil person. I want to see if the world will turn into a better place without her here. I'm not willing to kill her, though. Because if I killed her, then that would be me taking part in evil as well. And that would be just bringing more evil into the world. The fight I'm fighting now isn't bringing more evil into the world. A lot of you guys see this stuff as hate, and Much of it is. I hate hearing about or seeing my loved ones dead. Natalie Bollinger wasn't even the first, not even close. She was just the worst. The most painful death of my entire life. Please don't say that. I was honest with a woman who wants to help me. You don't tell people that you don't want to live. They say, don't say that, don't say that. What do you mean? Don't be honest with you? You want me to sugarcoat it and lie and pretend? Well, hold on a second. That's what got us into this position to begin with. I disagree with that. In my case, however, my mom failed my sister and I time and time again. I moved out when I was 14, dropped out of school, got a job, and took care of my little sister. See, that I understand that 100%. I didn't leave my mom's house at 14. Matter of fact, I didn't even get out of the system until I was 15. My mother fucked up time and time again, and she continues to do so. She protects the predators and victimizes the victims. That's why she's evil. As far as Amy and Josh go, if they got the kids back, I would be willing to go over there every single day. If they're willing to do that, I'm willing to fight for their rights and for their kids' rights and help them to fight to get their kids back. But at the same time, they have to make an environment that is better than that foster home those children are in. But you know what? I've been over there to that house, and although they claimed that they didn't have my tools anymore and they didn't even own the house, they outright lied to me while they were angry with me because they were given the wrong information and lied to. Well, I've been getting my tools back slowly but surely, a little at a time. And some of my tools that they were handing back to me, I let them know to hold on to. I got gas masks, 3 or 4 of them over there. With the filters. We're talking about military gas masks. I want to show you something. This is one of them. Why did I collect gas masks? Am I trying to start a terrorist cell? Nope. I'm paranoid of tear gas, and I'm paranoid of the plague. Boo! This mask right here, I had a guy offer me $100 for this mask because he wanted to make a bong out of it. I got it for $26 at the Boulder Army store. $26. Now, most of the stuff that you're typing there, Ashley, I completely agree. I completely agree. I also see the efforts that they're making, all right? Have you ever torn out lath and plaster? I know a lot of y'all live in cities and you don't even know what lath and plaster is. I'm going to explain it to you. It's dirty, it's messy, it's nasty, and if you see lath and plaster, you got lucky because there's no asbestos behind it. In most cases. However, you take a whole bunch of slats, and they're all about as big as a paint stick. You know, the paint stirring stick? So you take those and you hammer them in against all the studs on all the walls, and then you mix up some masonry cement, and you spread that all over the front of it, and you let it dry. Kind of like stucco without the metal grating. Yes, I did a lot of construction work in my day. I'm sorry, that wasn't a demonic possession trying to come out of me. I belched. But if you think it's a demon, cool. Have your schizophrenic bullshit. Well, I'm glad you know. But the thing is, I've been over there. All right, I have seen how much work that they're doing. Their whole yard is a fucking mess. Now, is their yard a mess because they're lazy and they never clean it? No, their yard changes every single day because every single day they are working on that house as hard as they can to try to get that house so that it is a better place than the foster home those girls are in. In addition to that, I can see their place from here. I can see it from here. If they're up all night getting fucked up on meth, I can see it. And they're not. They're not. That's not saying that they won't relapse in the future. That's not saying that they were ever into it so far that they would get addicted and relapse. Be honest with you, I wasn't over there for that because they know I don't do that shit. They didn't bring it up to me or bring it up in front of me. The first time they ever said anything about their usage was when the kids got taken away the first time. Now, the second time, Amy was supposed to be serving time in jail and didn't want her kids thrown into the system while she was serving her 4 months. Now, apparently, that's all done and over with. Now, Josh, he's a lot more understanding only because they're not his kids. If they were his kids, he'd probably be just as pissed off as Amy. Although Amy doesn't direct it at me anymore. I can tell by her body language and her behavior that she does hold a little bit of animosity there, but she's not intentionally taking it out on me. She's just being quiet. There's also the fact that because I live so close, I can actually be useful. Last night, I don't know if it was somebody breaking into their stuff and left the vehicle open or if they were hauling stuff into the house and just forgot to close it, but I went over there and I closed the door on their vehicle because I could see it from here. So when I went up to my house last night where those other videos were made, I stopped by there and closed their door. And also, I didn't want them to freak out if they heard the door shut. So I did text message them so that they were aware of it. And Josh sent me back a message saying thank you. The silent treatment is to some degree taking it out on me, but also she still does sort of say things to me once in a while, and she can't help it. I'm a funny son of a bitch in real life, and she laughs every time I go over there. She wants to be angry, but it's difficult to do when you're busy laughing. They're working on their house. If they continue to work on their house and continue to invest their money in their house, which is part of, and this is just my assumption, this isn't a set fact. My personal belief is that they're making sure that they spend all of their money on the house so they don't spend it on other things like that. So they can get the house done as soon as possible. So they can get the girls back as soon as possible. Also, they don't have to have me go over there every day. There are easily 50 people in this town who are qualified to go over there and check on them and check on the kids. And the other thing is that Amy is already aware of the fact that she's not going to get her kids back without that supervision. It's just not going to happen. The other thing is that we can get her kids back because of all of the illegal and immoral things that were done in Rawlins, Wyoming by the police there and the sheriff's department. The thing is that it was the police department and their lack of effort to investigate that resulted in the situation getting as out of hand as it did. I believe the oldest one is 16 and the youngest one is 11 now. I could be wrong. Nope. The youngest one is 7. The youngest of the two that Rihanna and I had was 10 and is probably 11 now. But you also got to understand, when I was a kid, I really wasn't much different from those kids. You know why? I just wanted to see my family. I just wanted to see my mom and my older brother and my little sister. And they kept giving me empty promises. She'll be here this weekend. She'll be here this weekend. And every 2 weeks, I'm moving to a new place, a new foster home, leaving the old foster home, never to return again. For 2.5 years, I did that. 2.5 years of, your mom's going to come see you this weekend. Your mom's going to come see you this weekend. Over 70 foster homes in a 2.5 year period. Yeah, that fucks you up. Constantly moving. And then you also have that thing that if you're a kid, this does go through your head because you're a kid. Doesn't she love me? Doesn't my mom love me? Well, no, my mom only loves herself. She's an evil person. If she's pretending like she loves you, you've got something she wants. And that's how it is 100% of the time with my mother. You know, Miss Peaches, that's Kayla Trujillo. She had to sell drugs in order to make sure that she had enough, because it's expensive to live in Colorado, especially after Amendment 64. That is the one thing that I am ashamed of about going door to door to try to get Amendment 64 passed. Is that now we've got a bunch of people who are too lazy to go door to door, who are rich ass potheads, who want to come in and drive up the prices of everything. And now we have tens of thousands of homeless people in Colorado just since Amendment 64 was passed. Yep, Ashley, exactly. You type Sean, I understand that. My mom was like that when I was growing up. False promises, not okay. That's true. It's still the same with mine too. Something that I do also want to say about that situation. As far as Amy and Josh go, first of all, Josh is one of a handful of people who are as witty as I am. That does take quite a bit. And I understand that Rihanna doesn't like Josh at all. And I have heard the stories from her about why she doesn't like Josh. Amy hasn't told me anything like that. The kids never said anything like that. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. But at the same time, with the things that the kids were saying that were untrue there, they would definitely bring up something like that if it was true, would they not? Now, it's not my business to go over there and go rooting around in their business and say, hey, Amy, did Josh beat the hell out of you, or was that just Rihanna saying stuff to manipulate because she was drunk? Reason 1573. I love chatting with you, your wit. Right? You should try being interactive in real life. All right, Pastor Benny and the Clang family, they used to come down with their church group, and they used to feed a bunch of homo. You see how that worked out? No, I wasn't trying to say homo. I have no teeth, so it is difficult to enunciate things. So if it seemed like I was trying to be an asshole by saying homo, I'm sorry. I was trying to say hobo. We can make a difference in this world. We really can, but we have to work together and not just bitching on the internet. We have to come together. See, a lot of people are mad about these riots. No, these are peaceful protests. Having instigators at a peaceful protest does not mean that it's not a peaceful protest. It means that there's instigators there. Now, many years ago, when that man was choked to death over a pack of cigarettes, the police were instigating violence against the protesters, and that was shown time and again. It was also shown that although thousands of people marched because of that, because 6 people got violent, and that was all the people that got violent over that. 6 people. 6 people got violent because they were being pushed and shoved by police and having hateful things said to them by police. But since those hateful things did not include the N-word, well, those officers didn't get in any trouble. I believe in people getting a second chance. I just don't believe in giving them hundreds of chances. With my mom, every time that she would screw me over, I would do the right thing and leave. And then people tell me, oh, but she's your mom, she's your mom, she's your mom. You know, you need to forgive her, she's your mom. And then what happens? I have now allowed one of my predators back into my life to do the same things that she has done repeatedly before to me again. Because I allowed somebody else from their outside view on the situation, which is to say they didn't see anything, to dictate it. No, the right thing for me to do with my mother, honestly, the right thing for me to do with my mother, I should have done at age 4, which is never talk to her again. Ashley typed, if I had a penny for every time I heard that, I'd be a rich bitch. Yeah, I would too. My mom telling me, I've changed, I've changed, I've changed. Those of you who have interacted with addicts, you're a vehicle for enough. That's because tires make a specific sound when they drive over gravel. Oh, that son of a bitch is going like half a mile an hour. Fucking creeper status. So my mom does what many of these addicts do, including Kelly Henson and, well, many others that I have screenshots of. She says, Sean, I haven't done cocaine in years. Well, she's talking 200 miles an hour. Do I talk 200 miles an hour? Yeah. I'm afraid to try cocaine. I've tried meth. Do I talk 200 miles an hour on meth? Kind of difficult to do that when it knocks you the fuck out. When's the last time I did meth? Over 10 years ago. How long did I do meth for? Less than 30 days. Why did I do meth? Because I wanted to hang out with my friends, and they wouldn't hang out with anybody that wasn't on meth because they were paranoid. Why did I leave after 30 days of that? Because they were stealing from family to pay for their habits. They were stealing tools from their family that were the tools that kept food on their table and kept the roof over their head. It's not like stealing something out of your grandma's china hutch that, although it's sentimental to your grandma, it's not going to make you homeless if you steal it. And it's not going to make her homeless if you steal it. But you take away the tools of someone's livelihood, that's a different story. That's also the story of most homeless people. It wasn't their pretty possessions that destroyed their lives. It was the loss of their livelihood. What does all this have to do with Boulder City Council? Boulder City Council would have put Josh and Amy on probation. Boulder City Council would have stacked on a bunch of bogus charges. Boulder City Council would have required for them to spend $25 a day to go in every single day to take a whiz quiz, preventing them from getting a job unless they can magically find a job that will allow them to go down and take the whiz quiz whenever their number is up. They call it the lottery. Some people are on randoms, which is a random lottery. You might get piss tested this month, you might not. And then there's the lottery of the people who have to do it every day. Today, you might have to go in at 9 o'clock to do your whiz quiz. Tomorrow, it might be 3:30 in the afternoon. And they fuck you by not having a schedule that you can do that on. How many jobs are going to go, all right, it's Tuesday. Did you call your probation appointment number and get the hotline to tell you what time your appointment is? All right, you have to be there at 3 today? All right, well, we're going to let you go at 2 o'clock because we understand that you're probably going to have to wait on a bus to get on that bus to go down to 55th and Arapahoe, which is where they do the piss testing. And then we'll have to give you another hour afterwards to come back. So every day you're going to take 3 hours out. How are you going to find a boss that's that understanding unless it's your daddy? They do set them up for failure. Most of these people who relapse, you know why that is? It's because that's their coping techniques. That's what they've taught. That's what they've been taught. And they try to break out of that mold and do something different. And they realize the harder that they try to do the right thing, that it simply doesn't matter. They're taking 5 steps backwards for the promise of one forward maybe. And it's a real iffy maybe. Victoria's having to deal with that right now. I shouldn't have said that because she's one of at least 20 people, both men and women, who are dealing with that right now. Many of these people don't do drugs. They were charged with crimes that they never committed and then held without bond or without an acceptable bond for somebody who is that broke. There is no way that you can pay that bond. The bond set for my bail in Arapahoe County would be considered excessive because of my disabilities and my lack of income at that point. I didn't get to spend my disability money on anything to take care of myself. All of my disability money, every single penny, went to jumping through hoops for the courts, going to court dates, going to places for pre-probation, going to see my public pretender, going to see the investigator, going to see therapists. I mean, you got 5 of those for each one of these court dates. I have to deal with 5 of those people because I was assaulted by Wayland Molotai. And then I have to deal with 5 of those people because of the assault at Clearview. Now, mind you, I didn't commit either one of those crimes. I was the one assaulted in both of those situations. Now, later on, in August of 2018, did I break the law then? Fuck yes! Hell motherfucking yes! I literally threatened the President of the United States' life to try to force someone to take a look at this. Do you know how desperate you have to be to do that? Nobody in their right fucking mind is going to think that I'm going to go try to kill the president. Nobody who knows me in real life should be that incredibly fucking stupid. But then again, when you're not allowed to speak up in court, you're not allowed to show evidence in court, no matter what. You're not allowed to show the abuse that you're going through daily, or the hell that your life has become because of crooked officers, and because of druggies like Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa and Rochelle Shelley Campbell and Ted Bollinger. And of course, Rose himself. And between Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell, I mean, right there, we've got two stepmothers who literally got hooked up with Ted Bollinger exactly the same way that Rose did. Rose was homeless. She was out on the streets getting drunk all the time and having sex with a bunch of homeless people, hoping for a little bit of her drug of choice. And then she ran into a barber named Tim Beeson, Ted Bollinger, who inherited a business from his father. Did he earn that business? No, he inherited it. Did he work there? Yes. But that does not detract from the fact that he inherited it. If you work for somebody at their business and you inherit the business, did you earn it? No, you didn't. And here's why. Because other people are doing that job and they're not going to inherit anything. That job they're doing for that job's sake, for that job's paycheck. Whereas you got something free just because he's your daddy. And you did get it free. Yes, I understand it's going to be a lot of work. I understand that the time that you're going to have to invest in it is not free time. But the fact is, you got that business handed to you, and you also got the education to run that business handed to you. Let's see. It's like that in Ohio also. Pisses me off. Just to meet the quota or to make money. Desperate times. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Exactly. Now, when I said that I know parents who don't do drugs, who sell drugs to make a living. Miss Peaches, a.k.a. Kayla Trujillo, who lives in Longmont, by the way. That's in Boulder County. She didn't use the drugs that she was selling. She's a pothead. And yeah, she was selling pot too. And I know the other drugs that she was selling, and I'm not going to tell you what those are. Although I'll give you a hint because one of them was recently legalized. And she didn't even use those. The Boulder City Council and their decisions don't just affect the homeless. They affect poor people across the entire county. Even the Boulder City Council just making decisions within the city of Boulder affect the poor across all of Boulder County. It forces homeless people to move to wherever it is that they can, to be outside of the city of Boulder, but still close enough that they can visit their loved ones. Kind of like what I was doing by living at Ken and Leah's down there at 3395 South Zuni, Englewood, Colorado. See, here's the thing. I was tortured into pleading guilty to that crime. But you know what? I didn't commit that crime in Sheridan. I committed it in Inglewood. And I committed it to try to force an outside agency to look at the abuse that I had been enduring by the Bollinger family and their friends for an entire year before she was killed. And then by police and the general public, because of the media and because of the slander that they never bothered to look at, using the term mentally ill as an excuse. Boulder County preys on those people. The Boulder City Council is aware of all of these things happening. And as fucked up as it is that Nebraska exploited these people the way they did, and Wyoming exploited these people the way that they did, none of them can hold a candle to the evils of Boulder County.